Picture this. It's launch day. Flashy music, dramatic lighting, a perfectly polished stage, and a giant glowing logo behind a smiling executive, promising that this is the future of computing. The crowd claps. Tech YouTubers upload their thumbnails with shocked faces. Headlines scream the next big thing. And somewhere in the middle of all that hype, a new operating system is revealed. Windows 12, supposedly faster, supposedly smarter, supposedly AI-powered, supposedly the upgrade that fixes everything people complained about for years. And yet, if you step back for a second and really think about it, you start to realize something uncomfortable. Windows 12 won't save Microsoft, because the problem isn't the version number anymore. It's not Windows 10 versus 11 versus 12. The problem is deeper than design tweaks, deeper than rounded corners, deeper than whatever new assistant or AI feature they bolt onto the taskbar. The problem is trust, direction, and what people actually want from their computers. And those are things no single update can magically repair. Imagine the average user sitting at their desk. They don't wake up thinking, I hope my operating system has a new centered start menu. They don't care about fancy animations or rebranded settings panels. They care about one thing. Does this thing get out of my way and let me work? For years, Windows used to be exactly that. It was invisible. You turned on the PC and got stuff done. Now it feels like the system itself is constantly trying to sell you something, sign you into something, sync something, or track something. When people hear about Windows 12, the marketing will say it's revolutionary. But let's be honest. Most users expect more of the same. More ads in the start menu. More prompts to use Edge. More finish setting up your PC screens. More forced accounts. More background services eating RAM. That expectation alone is already a problem. Because when your audience doesn't believe you anymore, even good features don't matter. Think back to how upgrades used to feel. Installing a new Windows version felt exciting. There was a sense that things were genuinely improving. Windows XP 2.7 felt faster and cleaner. Even Windows 10, despite its flaws, felt like a step forward after 8. But lately, upgrades feel like chores. Something you're forced into, not something you look forward to. Windows 11 already showed that. Strict hardware requirements, random design inconsistencies, missing features that used to exist, and constant updates that change things for no clear reason. So when people hear Windows 12, many won't think progress. They'll think, great, what are they taking away this time? And here's the bigger issue. The world has changed. The PC isn't the center of everything anymore. Phones, tablets, cloud apps, and web-based tools have taken over huge parts of daily computing. For a lot of people, the browser is the real operating system. If everything you do lives in Chrome or a web app, what difference does Windows 12 really make? Whether it's Windows 10, 11, or 12, it's just a launcher for a browser. So even if Windows 12 is technically better, the stakes aren't the same as they used to be. Microsoft can't rely on new version hype to drive excitement, because the OS itself isn't as central to people's lives. That's a structural problem, not a cosmetic one. Then there's performance. Over time, Windows has become heavier. More services, more background processes, more telemetry, more things running that you didn't ask for. People notice this. You buy a decent laptop, and somehow it still feels sluggish after a few months. Meanwhile, you install a lightweight Linux distribution or use a Chromebook, and suddenly everything feels snappy again. That contrast sticks with people. It plants a dangerous thought in their heads. Maybe Windows isn't necessary. If Windows 12 ships with even more built-in AI features constantly running in the background, constantly collecting data, constantly suggesting things you didn't ask for, it might look futuristic on stage. But on older hardware it could feel worse, not better. And nothing kills enthusiasm faster than a shiny new system that runs slower than the old one. There's also the privacy angle. People are more aware now. They read headlines. They understand what telemetry means. They know what data collection is. And every time the system pushes cloud integration, or forces online accounts, or quietly enables new tracking options, it chips away at trust. You can't market smart AI features while users are thinking, what information are you sending back? Windows 12 might add smarter assistants and deeper cloud syncing, but if users feel watched, they won't feel impressed. They'll feel uncomfortable. And here's the brutal truth. Microsoft doesn't just compete with other desktop operating systems anymore. They compete with not needing a PC at all. For students, a cheap tablet might be enough. For office work, a browser on any device is enough. For entertainment, consoles and phones take over. The PC is becoming specialized rather than universal. That means each new Windows version has less power to reshape the market. It's not 2005 anymore, where a new OS could redefine computing for everyone. Now think about developers. Developers go where the users are. If more tools move to the cloud, if more apps become web-based, then developers don't care as much about Windows-specific features. They build once and deploy everywhere. Windows 12 can add all the fancy APIs it wants. But if the real action is happening inside browsers and containers, the OS becomes background noise. And an operating system that fades into the background isn't something that saves a company. It's something that quietly becomes interchangeable. There's also the reputation problem created over years. Forced updates at the worst possible times. Random restarts. Blue screens during important work. Settings buried across 3 different menus. Old control panels still existing next to new ones. It feels messy. People joke about it, memes spread. And jokes matter more than companies think. Once a brand becomes the punchline, it's incredibly hard to reverse. Windows 12 could fix half of these issues, but people might not even give it a chance, because they already expect chaos. Another thing no one talks about enough is design consistency. Windows has slowly turned into a patchwork. Some windows look modern, others look like they're from 2009. Some icons are flat, others are 3D. Some menus are touch-friendly, others clearly aren't. It feels like 3 generations of design languages stacked on top of each other. If Windows 12 still looks like a mix of old and new, people will immediately see through the marketing, because a new OS that still feels cobbled together doesn't inspire confidence. And let's talk about AI, because you know that's going to be the centerpiece. Every company is slapping AI onto everything. AI search, AI assistants, AI wallpapers, AI copilots. But most people don't want an AI in every corner of their desktop. They want stability, speed, predictability. AI features are nice extras, not foundations. If Microsoft treats AI as the main selling point, while ignoring the basics, it'll feel like they're solving problems no one has, while ignoring the ones everyone has. There's also the enterprise world. Businesses don't jump to new versions quickly. They stick with what's stable. Even if Windows 12 launches tomorrow, companies will stay on 10 or 11 for years. That means adoption will be slow by default. So how can it save anything if the biggest customers barely touch it for half a decade? The more you think about it, the clearer it becomes. Windows 12 is just a product. But Microsoft's challenges are cultural and strategic. They're about how the company communicates with users, how much control users feel they have, and whether the system respects their time and choices. You can't patch those things with a feature update. What would actually save Windows isn't a new number. It would be a philosophy shift. Remove the ads. Stop forcing accounts. Make updates optional and predictable. Focus purely on speed and reliability. Make the OS boring in the best possible way. Invisible. That's what people secretly want. But that's not flashy enough for keynotes, so it rarely happens. So when Windows 12 eventually arrives with cinematic trailers and bold claims, it might look impressive for a moment. Tech channels will review it. Benchmarks will be run. New wallpapers will be shared. And then, a few weeks later, most people will go back to using their browser, their apps, their daily routine, barely noticing the OS underneath. Because the truth is, the magic days where a Windows release changed everything are over. Windows 12 won't save Microsoft, because Microsoft doesn't need saving by an operating system anymore. And even if they did, the real problems aren't technical. They're trust, simplicity, and relevance. Until those are fixed, every new version will feel like rearranging furniture in the same old house. Different paint. Same cracks in the walls.